Hello and welcome to the Techerati interview series ahead of Cloud and Cybersecurity Expo on the 8th and 9th of March at Excel London. I'm Stuart Crowley, Closer Still's Global Content Manager and Editor of Techerati. Today, my guest is Robin Bylenga. She is the Information Security Awareness, Education and Communications Lead at DWS Group. At Cloud and Cybersecurity Expo, Robin will join a panel to discuss how using active threat detection and smart technology can neutralize threats early before any larger threats become active. So welcome to this interview series, Robin.
Oh, thank you, Stuart. I really am honored to be a part.
Oh, good. I'm glad. So my first question is, what do you really feel is the biggest cybersecurity challenge that are facing C-levels and business leaders in the next 12 months? And how do you think that that challenge can be overcome?
You know, we're always still facing the advanced and more sophisticated attacks through phishing and through the use of mobile devices. And of course, business email compromise is a big issue. And it comes down to basically understanding and having your colleagues and your employees understand the significance of the issue and the ramifications should we get breached.
So it's really the human firewall consistently being kind of the first point of control where you need to really improve that to overcome this challenge of phishing. How do you feel phishing is becoming more sophisticated? Is it through the traditional channels like email and it's becoming far more targeted?
You know, it's the attacker's jobs to figure out ways, and a lot of times we're playing catch up. So the more and more aggressive attacks are happening where we least expect them. We are busier. We have so much going on in our lives, and so much, our cell phones and our laptops, and if we're driving and our children's phones, or just so much noise going on in our life that the attack vectors become for the human. And now understand that my educational focus is human factor and internal threat management. So I do spend quite a bit of time researching and developing that area of expertise to err as human, as they say. And it is so simple to attack us when we're not paying attention, and we can't always be on all the time. So, we try to remind as practitioners our colleagues to stay alert, mind your fatigue, make sure, and if you're someone that works on 500 emails a day, then you need to do it at times of the day when you're on point. If you are out on the field and you've got a lot of different technology, you need to make sure that you're not just errantly answering something. I got a message the other day from Apple that my account needed to be updated. Well, I'm in the industry. I know Apple doesn't send me text messages. Now, would my mother know that Apple doesn't send text messages? Probably not. She would probably click that link.
That's a really interesting take, because I think that we all are switched on all the time, and we feel like we need to be alert of everything. So maybe taking that breath would help to, from the human factor, identify when something seems a little bit suspicious. I think personally I can relate to your issue of getting a text message from Apple. For me, I've been receiving tens of emails posing to be my mother. And
interesting.
Yeah, the sender is my mum's name, and she also told me yesterday of her experience. She got an email with the sender name being from her ex, and it has the same content that says, "Oh, I think you must have missed this email previously. Here are some pictures," and then it gives you a link. Now, obviously, I was suspicious of it. My mum also was suspicious of it because of it being her ex that was messaging her. But it seems to be becoming more sophisticated in the sense that now they are knowing my mother's name. They know my relation. and also that they are kind of reverse engineering. What do you feel is perhaps the biggest opportunity or benefit for businesses looking to maybe adopt this active threat detection or other cybersecurity solutions?
I remember one particular discussion I had with a colleague at another company that where I try to get to know people as much as possible. You know, when I work for a huge organization, it's more challenging, but when I was working in smaller organizations, it was a lot easier. But his comment to me was interesting. He said, "I don't know why you're bothering me with security. Isn't that your job?" And and yes, it is. And we can get all of this fabulous technology, and there is wonderful technology out there, and the technology does its best. It's best. Jenny Radcliffe, the people hacker, she says, you know, I don't need to break into your locks. I just need one person. And she's right. So we've got to stay very, very diligent with the people in our organization. And yes, it is our job as security professionals to have that technology to protect the endpoints. But it's also our job to educate and help our colleagues protect our company and themselves.
Your point about your colleague that said, "Isn't that your job?" Do you find that is a common attitude from people that aren't in security? And why do you think that attitude exists?
I did see a psychologist say, you know, our industry has some of the most vile words that we use: attack and threat actor, and you know, this, and it's not very warm and fuzzy, is it? So I think that we've gone from weakest link to everybody's job is security, and I think that is healthy. That everybody understands their role as your evening janitorial service to your CEO, that everybody understands that each one of you is an attack surface. So when we say we're all security, that's kind of everyone's job is security. That's kind of what we mean. I've also seen some conversations recently on LinkedIn from some of my human factor colleagues that say, aren't we doing a disservice? So I think that there's a lot of room for discussion there.
With your experience at lots of different companies, DWS Group, 𝐓𝐞𝐞𝐫, Barrier Network, Cybermaniacs, are there any kind of key lessons that you've learned to building this successful cybersecurity culture or an aware culture to tackling, you know, those sort of issues?
When you're responsible for developing a culture, it is not an overnight process. And some of the people from the Big Four will, I think we're all in agreement, it's at least an 18-month to 24-month process. Very critical that you align security culture goals with the business goals, because we are in business to make money and to have a business. So, I mean, we cannot we cannot allow security to get in the way of functioning, because people at the end of the day want to do their jobs. They want to do it well. They want to hit their targets and their goals. And if we get in the way, there will be workarounds. And that, again, that creates gaps, which creates the opportunity for attack vectors, you know, and so on and so on. Security should be a blame-free, not accountability-free. Now, that make that point very clear. But I educate. Well, I know people know the right things to do, and then if someone does something, you know, maliciously, then of course they're held accountable. However, just in building the culture, what we really want as professionals is to build a culture of reporting. We want people, just like in the airline industry, anything that might happen, any near miss, any possibility. Saw those two airplanes that almost hit each other last week or 2 weeks ago. All that has to be reported, because they then analyze trends and then they tell each other about it. That's our problem in security, is that we're really not allowed to talk sometimes because of stock prices and trade secrets and everything else. So we're not allowed to talk about our near misses or what have you.
Speaking of cultures, what are your opinions on the current narrative around the cybersecurity skills shortage or cybersecurity's talent gap that is being touted?
Oh, I have some strong ones. I think that's a misnomer. I think there are a lot of people out there that are interested, all diversity, interested. There are a lot of people that are sitting with college degrees, with certificates, that can't find jobs. I don't think it's a skill shortage. I think we are not communicating correctly with our HR departments and writing the correct job descriptions. And I think we're asking too much on CVs and paying too little. I mean, we've all seen the CVs that want 10 years of experience in one program that's only been around for 5 years. And, and then you want all this experience in a CISSP, which takes 5 years to get, by the way. And then you want to pay junior salaries. I mean, come on, we've got to have a get real discussion. And I have a lot of colleagues that have had a hard time finding positions, and I find it shocking every time I hear skills shortage. If so, why?
Right.
And if your company's having such a hard time finding positions, I'd take a look inside.
You did make quite a powerful LinkedIn post, actually, that I read about the fact that many journalists don't see the fact that there are many talented women in tech. You were saying about diversity, and that there is interest, but perhaps they go unnoticed and aren't recognized in perhaps higher positions as well. That was kind of in a nutshell what your LinkedIn post was about. Why do you think that narrative exists, especially for journalists? And why do you think that this diversity in cybersecurity is important?
I can't remember when I wrote that LinkedIn post, but I remember writing it. And I'm very, very fortunate to have been with companies that valued my differences. I am seeing a lot more since I did write that post. There's a huge push for diversity. And it's, in one way, it's kind of sad that we have to do that. That I wish CVs did not have people's pictures, did not have dates. I mean, I found that when I was interviewing at one point, I had to go through my LinkedIn and take dates off because I was aged out. It's a real thing, and it's frightening to know that that because of age or color or gender or what have you, that you're not being given opportunities. If I don't have a female physician, if I don't have a female cybersecurity person, if I don't have someone as a role model, it's going to be harder to envision myself in that role. My entire life, in different jobs that I've held, they tended to be more male dominated. And I have been the one female on a team in several different situations. And to not have that is quite refreshing. It's different because it's healthier, I think Matthew Syed wrote a book. It's called Rebel Ideas. And the interesting thing about that book is that he specifically talks about 9/11 back in the United States and why the American CIA, FBI forces were not more in tune to what was happening, and the threats that had honestly been quite verbally posted. At that time, the government in the United States was not diverse. It was very homogenous. All men, same schools, same family, same country clubs, same churches, same belief systems. So they're looking here in their myopic view. And this is why this is so important to us. When we're looking at the human factors, which is where we say as an industry, that's our problem. Okay, well, guess what? When you have a diverse team on your information security team, then you've got people looking as, different cultures. And we've got a lot of cultures. And with 2 of my companies, I've had to deal with a lot of different cultures. I need to be culturally aware so that my message is heard and it's not insulting. I need to understand how those cultures interact with information. Are there words that I shouldn't use? There are cultural traditions that I need to be aware of. It's respectful, number one, but even more importantly than that, it builds trust and it furthers your message in a positive way because you're talking to people in a way that they can hear it and understand it. Now, going back to what Matthew Syed said in his book, had we had a more diverse team, they would have known that this messaging that was being published needed to be paid attention to. Now, I'm not an expert on that. I am taking what he said, and running with it clearly. But I think he made a really, really good point. And when we talk about diversity, it's not just ticking boxes. It's not just making sure that we all have something to talk about at lunch. It's bringing in different viewpoints.
Would you agree that having that diverse culture allows you to be better at tackling cybercrime?
I think so in 2 ways. Not only knowing your attacker, but when I can do all the research all day long for what psychologists publish or sociologists publish about what 18 to 25-year-olds do, what 26 to 35-year-olds, Gen Z, Gen Z, whatever the generation is, and go by trends and things like that. It's helpful information. It's useful information. But having someone, a different person on your team from different, demographics can help. Stephen Covey says, first seek to understand, then to be understood.
What do you feel is the importance of in-person events like Cloud and Cybersecurity Expo, and why do you feel it's important for people to come along and join in your panel discussion and hear the importance of these cybersecurity issues?
It's always imperative, and never underestimate the value of networking. I mean, building a healthy network, it's good for business. It's good for business relationships. It's good to stay on top of the latest trends. And I love sharing ideas with others that are infinitely more intelligent than me. And I learn so much from these things. I rarely go to an event where I don't come back with some good nugget of information that I can use to become a better professional. That's what this is about. I mean, it's not just about, selling stuff, but every now and again you do find something new that maybe you've been looking for. But I think that, as we grow and mature as an industry, it's helpful to me. So I think sometimes, you're really surprised at what you can learn. And I hope that I can bring value to this conversation, and I'm really excited to be a part of it.